Warmly welcome to this webinar about attachment and tantric relating. And why did I choose this title? Because my biggest passion is attachment, and I'm also so deeply in love with Tantra and everything that's going on there. But I can also see there is so much possibilities for healing in Tantra, but there's also kind of big risks, and you have to do like kind of some work before you can fully emerge in Tantra. So this webinar is a presentation together with Stockholm Tantra Festival. So I will give you a promo code, and you also will give some information about what I do. So I'm so happy to do this together with Stockholm Tantra Festival. And yeah, we're just gonna kick it right now. So the Stockholm Tantra Festival is coming the next weekend, and there are still tickets there if you want to buy one. And you get 20% off your ticket if you use this code while registered. Welcome to meet. So then you get 20% off, and you can share it with all your friends. So this is like a special deal for us attending this webinar. So who am I? I call myself power and love therapist, and it's coming from my passion in therapy. I work with emotions and affect-focused therapy, and I do both individual sessions and I do loads of retreats on Öland. So what we can do with emotion is so much. There's so much healing and feeling what we couldn't feel and saying what we couldn't say and getting this way of healing our attachment traumas. And I just love it. And on top of that, I've been going to like loads and loads of Tantra festivals. I've also been going to, whatever else. I've done like 13 years of personal development and therapy and everything. And I just love it. So what I offer is individual therapy. I do retreats at Öland, and I also do loads of webinars. I write articles and so much things. You can find me on YouTube or on my webpage. You can also book, if you're interested in therapy, you can also book a 15 minutes free consultation. There could be questions about Tantra, but also questions about therapy. So now we're going to start. So just take a moment and just sit with yourself and watch this little baby. What do you feel when you look at this little baby? You can write in the chat whatever you feel when you are looking at this. So just take a little while and meditate and watch this little baby. And just feel inside. So Lamita, do we get anything in with chat? What does people feel when they look at this one?
Mm-hmm.
Or what do you
They feel love.
Yes.
And that's it for now.
Yeah. So what
I
do
can
you
share?
feel?
Yes, I feel very much innocence and openness and purity.
Yes.
Mm.
So what I feel inside when I thank you, Lamita, and when I look at this baby, I just feel this like I'm going towards it, and it's like I just became a grandmother in November, and it's just that bliss of seeing the baby. You just want to hold it, care for it, love it. And it's just like this warmth, this kind of really, really deep, caring, nurturing feeling I feel. And this is like what most people feel then when they see a baby. That is what we should see, because the babies only chance to survive is to awaken the caregiving instincts in the parents, like being so pretty and innocent, and it's like we just want to care for them and love them. That is like how they are wired to do that with us, because our mammals, our babies are the smallest, and the like most other animals can survive a little bit more on their own, but not we as humans. So they really need to look at us like that. So we really want to care for them. And for many of us, that is the case, that the caregiver, the parents have been caring enough for us. But maybe for us sitting here, we have had some challenges in this care. And that is what we call attachment. So attachment is an emotional bond between the parent and the child. The parent as older and wiser, and the child as the receiver, the cared for one. So what the child does, it signals to the caregiver, oh, I need you. It's like something is not good. And they just scream. The only thing they can do in the beginning is just scream. And then after a while, we kind of understand, oh, this is scream for food. This is scream for I'm tired. And this is scream for I don't know what I want. But it's like our instinct or our responsibility to respond to the child. And we don't need to be 100% perfect. It's like what I've heard, like numbers around 70%, we need to be able to have the correct response to the child. That's good enough parenting. And that's like a really huge relief for so many of us that are parents, that is like, we don't need to be perfect all the time, but we need to be good enough. And one of the most important things, if you have children, is to see, like, it's okay to make mistakes. But the most important thing is to heal the mistakes, or like stand up for yourself. I'm sorry, I did that wrong. I didn't mean to not respond. Or it's like being really responsible when we're not being like really giving good care. And so if a child gets good enough caregiving, they find themselves as worthy. Like they are like self-love, and they feel like I have this kind of worth inside, and I can trust other people, and I can trust the world. It's safe and I can explore it. So when we look at detachment, it's like the kind of like the child is like starting to be very, very close to the parents, and then they start to go out and explore the world and come back if it's scary. And that's kind of circle of exploration. Then they feel the world is safe, they can explore. And that is like kind of what we do on Tantra Festival. If we feel safe enough, we can start to explore, to go out, like meeting other people, feeling, wow, this is so amazing. And that is what I love so much going to festivals, is like to have that possibility of exploring with others. So when we look at, so if we get good enough caregiving, we find ourselves in what we call a secure attachment. And we can find there our kind of neurobiological core self. We have agency, will, desire, and vitality. We're like kind of full of liveliness and expansion. And we like feel like this is me, and I can be in the world, and I'm safe. But if we are having or have had kind of a little bit more shaky or dysfunctional caregiving, we try to survive using survival strategies. And these are like super, super good. These survival strategies are super good when we are small, but they're really not good when we are getting adults and start dating, because it's like, yeah, it's like, and I will tell you everything about that, what kind of shows up when you are adult and have these survival strategies. So when we have survival strategies, we make ourselves smaller or different, or we are always on the lookout for danger. So this is what we're going to talk about, like how these strategies in the unsecure attachments shows up in intimate relationships. And also the magnificent thing here is we're wired for healing. So when we start working with our challenges, I don't want to say it's not a fixed, like we go through life with an attachment and it's like it varies a little bit. We are safer, we're a little insecure, and we are safer. And it goes from the cradle to the grave. We are on this journey of hopefully developing a more and more secure attachment and finding this, what I call the core self. And this is one of my favorite exercises I do on all my retreats and seminars. And that's about giving the child what it didn't get. So one big part, the people that I meet that suffer from attachment trauma, is they didn't feel they got enough love. They weren't seen and they didn't feel loved and cared for. So then it's very difficult to go out in the world and start to love others because we kind of don't know what is love and how can we give love or receive love. And a lot of people I see, they are kind of like hold very tight to love, not being loving. They really need to be super secure that you're going to get love back if you give out love. But that is like kind of a wrong thought, because it's like we're going to find love when we start being love, not when we like trying to get love, going around just trying to get love. So in this exercise, I'm just going to do it very, very short here. You can pretend to be a child, and I'm going to pretend to be your mother and father or who else took care of you. So you can just sit back a little bit. And I'm going to say these things that all children should be hopefully hear. Like, you are love. You are so amazing. You're so worthy of love. You're my sun in the universe. You're perfect as you are. You're welcome in the world. I have your back. So just feel into yourself. I'm going to do a few more and see how does it feel to receive this kind of love from me at this moment. You're amazing. I just want you to shine and have a beautiful life. I support you to feel all emotions. I love you. You're the best. So this is a way to heal the capacity to love. Is there any questions, or have you started? Is it any feedback on this one, or what's happening in the room? How was it to receive love? Nothing in the chat, I suppose, or what's happening, Lamita? Is there anything?
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. So we just continue on this journey. So if you want to work with love, I have a retreat on Öland in midsummer. And it's normally loads of singles there, some couples, but we're going to work about how to find more love in your life. We're going to make a fire on the beach, and we're going to do like full days of exercises, and we're going to have a midsummer party, and this is going to be amazing. So this is like, when I talk about this retreat, it's kind of a retreat that's like kind of preparing you to really go into Tantra. So it's really light Tantra, and it's like a preparation to be in more kind of deeper Tantric work.
So now we have a beautiful comment in the chat. So I felt it, probably love. It releases feelings in the body.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. So how can we heal attachment trauma? So I've been studying in the US a method called accelerated experiential dynamic psychotherapy. And what my teacher, Diana Fosha, talks about is like we heal with a new and good experience. It's like if we really get what we didn't get back then, the healing starts happening in us. So it's like we have to have a new experience, and that has to be good. So it's a really amazing possibility to heal in Tantra. But it's like we can really do this together. And I really want to point out this really, really hard. Like, we need to do this together. It's not that you can go there and just get things. We have to serve each other, being there together and do this healing for all of us. And that's why I love festivals so much, because it's like so much healing can take place when you are creating this kind of safe world in a Tantra festival. There I can start with boundaries. So we like the first day or the first sessions is so much about boundaries, how to say no, how to say yes, how to feel into, is this a no or a yes for me? And boundaries is like really, really amazing. And one of the most difficult things there is, because when you fill in a no, it's like, no, I don't want to do this with this person. And that's totally fine. But that can also awaken something in the other person. And that's totally fine. And you have just to find that, like, I'm set my boundaries, and whatever lands in that other person is up to them to kind of deal with. If we set the boundaries with love, it's like, really, I really like you, or sorry, I can't do this exercise with you. And the other one should kind of respond, thank you for listening to your boundaries. And that is so beautiful when we get this dance of really listening in and not going over our boundaries. Because that builds in the self, this starts to build a trust, that I can trust myself to be kind to myself. And I can trust others to respect my boundaries. And here is where the co-creation comes in. I trust myself, and I will be respected in my boundaries. There is such a big healing in this. I can give an example. I had an assistant when I was working on a retreat in Öland, and I really need to set a boundary with her. And I was feeling like, oh, it's just so difficult. And I took my courage, and then I talked to her like, really sweet, I love you, but this is not working. And when she replied and said, yes, I see you, this is not working, and I totally understand it, and I appreciate you sharing this, and I will change my behavior. It was like such a moment of healing for me, to be seen and met in my needs. Another thing that can be really healed in Tantra festival is if the sexuality when we grew up, a lot of us has been shamed for our sexuality. We weren't allowed to masturbate, or sexuality was like something. It's like I grew up in Småland in the short, like in the forest, and it's like we didn't talk about sexuality. It was like there, but we didn't talk about it. So it wasn't really welcomed to feel your sexuality. So when you go to Tantric festival, you can start to just, and you can do it right now, to feel like your whole body. We are sexual beings. We are here to replicate, no, to make babies. That's like one of our survival skills. So sexuality is like part of our biology to reproduce and get babies. So it's like, but it's also there for pleasure, of course. But that was not biology. It didn't think about it. It just made it pleasurable. So we will get like more babies to the world. But it's like when you go on a Tantric festival and start to feel like this sexuality inside you. When I go into it, I can kind of feel it like a tingling feeling. It's like a life force energy, and I can like feel it, and I can move a little bit, and just wow, it's so amazing. So if you before have been shamed for sexuality, and you go to a festival and feel like, here I'm standing, I feel juicy, I feel horny, I feel like, wow. And some people are not, they're not judging you, they're not shaming you. They're like, wow, you have such a nice sexuality. Whew, what a healing can happen. We're going to the one seen and loved. And this is so important that we do together. If we like create a space where we like go around and smile and meet each other, people get this healing quality of being seen and loved and welcomed. It's just so beautiful when we like can, yeah, I see you. Hi, I'm here. You're so beautiful. And it's like, wow. But it's like here, we really need to take the first step. So you can't just go around, like my friend said, like we go there with, like want to fill our cup up. We need to start like circling this, like seeing and loving others, and to find this inside. Maybe you need some therapy to find this love inside yourself, loving, but it's also like we can start to generate that kind of field of love and being seen and welcomed on these kind of festival centers. But of course, it can also trigger that, like, I'm abandoned, I'm alone, everyone else have such a juicy time. And sometimes I go into that still. I went to a party, like a discotheque a few weeks back, and I was like, everyone was having so much fun. And I was like, I was so exhausted because I didn't sleep. I slept too little the night before, and I was feeling so exhausted. And everyone was having so much fun. But then it was like, it just clicked in me. I couldn't go around, like, people are not there to like pick me up all the time. So I have to generate this energy from the in to feel this, like pulling myself up, pulling the energy, like opening myself and generate this together. By seeing others, I also will be seen. If I go around and just look around, not many will see me. So it's like really beautiful and challenging to work with this. And we all work with it all the time. And so that is like these parts we can heal with. I'm going to go over to exploration. This is so much fun because when you feel like you are in a safe space, you can start to explore. You can start to go into different exercises. I remember one year I went into like a really crazy workshop. I wouldn't have done that a few years back, but now it was like, wow, this is so amazing. And we could explore. And I was like, well, yes, so amazing and crazy. And I explored things that really changed my way of seeing myself and my sexuality and pleasure. And it was like, I really expanded in my body. So it's like also like exploration of what do I like? What do I find amazing and juicy? And also there is a possibility to find this pleasure inside the body, this kind of amazement, like being filled up with this kind of energy. Maybe you meet someone special and you do something together that really awakens pleasure in your body. Because if we go back to trauma, a lot of time the body has been, so for a few of us, the body has been explored or like not being respected. So finding the way back to my body as pleasure is so important. And it's so beautiful to do that. And like you can just see, if you touch yourself a little bit, how you can feel. Can you sense this pleasure of just touching yourself? And when you go to festivals, you can also find this pleasure of being touched by someone else. And maybe that awakens a lot of fear and shame in you. But slowly we can build up this trust that people will be good to us and start expanding our pleasure. And I put giving here as the last. I also started with it. It's like we have to start with giving. We can't just getting. So just if you go to the Tantra festival or other kind of festivals, like start giving, because that generates the possibility to also receive. And I can talk about this forever because I love it. So why does all this? You think you are amazing and you gone to starting to do, like you've done all the therapy work, and then you meet this someone special, or you go to a festival and all your attachment wounds starts showing up. And you shouldn't be like, when you go into intimate relationships, you think, oh, I've done so much work, I'm healed now, and I like, and it says boom, and everything is like coming up, drama and trauma, fear and everything. But we should like be happy that that is coming up. But there's also the possibility to heal. So when you get triggered, we also have the possibility to heal. So just remember that when you go to a festival, you're not going to have like a super amazing experience with no triggers. You can have both. You can be super triggered, you can be super high, and you can have like, it's going to change and going to be like this and that. And it's just fun, and it's part of the journey. So don't go to a festival and think, oh, I'm just going to be in bliss, I'm going to be so cool and so sexy. No, everything is going to show up, and it does it all the time for all of us. It's nothing that we can like really prepare ourselves. We can prepare ourselves to be able to hold what's coming up, but we can't be safeguarded that nothing is never going to show up. So I'm going to take a little break here and see if anything is landing here, if we have any questions from Lamita or something that anyone want to start questioning in the chat. Because after this, I'm going to show the different attachment styles and how they show up in intimate relationship, show like what happens in intimate relationship. And you're going to see like some slides about how we can heal what's showing up. So have you got any questions here, or where are we?
No, we don't have it yet, but I got a little question when you asked.
Yes.
And that is, of course, we get triggered, all of us, including me and you.
Yes.
Most of the people. And it's like, what shall we do then? Because it's like, what is the resources? I would like you to talk a little bit about that. Because
yes.
It's not just easy to stand in a corner and start to touch yourself. So maybe that is not enough.
Yeah. So the resources, if you go to festivals, there is always emotional support. But there is also a possibility when you get triggered. Like I always call my best friend Heidi and said like, oh, I'm so triggered. And then she's like just supporting me and said like, yeah, okay, you're triggered. To have someone, maybe you go with a friend or you have a friend at home and you call them and just check in. I'm getting so triggered now, and it's okay to get triggered. And if it gets super intense, you can always find the emotional support on the festival. Is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly. To
Yes.
just mention it, I think, because
Yeah.
lot of us have a hard time to reach out for help.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can sit with it alone and just see, because I do that a lot when it's like, just sit with it a little bit, go for a walk, like leave the area a bit and just go for a walk and come back to yourself and said, oh, this was like this trigger. And the more inner work you do, the easier it is to calm yourself down and just be able to hold that. You don't have to rush to emotional support directly, but you can also like see, can I hold this? Yeah, I was rejected in that workshop. That beautiful man I wanted to do exercise went to do it with a goddess over there. And it's like, of course I feel rejected, or I felt like, oh, I had a connection with that one. And then it's over there. And it's like a lot of these things is like just common in the workshop field. And it's just okay. It's not, yeah, it was like really scary when we're small to be left out or being rejected or abandoned. But here to see what it is really is, how dangerous is it actually to be left, like being rejected for not having to do an exercise with someone. It's nothing really dangerous here and now. It was when we were small. To just remember, like what we fear or feel here is sometimes emotions that are bigger and triggered by our traumas. But when we look at it here and now and see how dangerous is this really, most of the time it's not so dangerous. But it's also seek support with your friends or with the emo support.
Yeah. Is it okay if I add something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I would like to add something very special, very simple. I mean, I'm sorry, I have coughing here, but it's like also to mention, maybe you don't have to expose yourself so much, but you can say, maybe I'm triggered. Would you like to give me a hug, or can you hold my hand? And also very simple things.
Yes.
If it's, yeah. I just wanted to add, yeah.
It doesn't have to be emotional support. It can just be someone, oh, I'm feeling a bit triggered now. Can you just sit with me for 5 minutes? It's just
exactly, yeah.
Because we are here to help each other. And if I go around a festival, or I was in a party yesterday, and I can see emotions in people, I'm just stop there, check in with them. Are you okay? And it just means so much to also to be the one supporting others, just seeing them and say, hi, how are you? I see it's coming up tears. Do you want me to hug you or sit with you? So this is what I'm talking about, how we can heal together. So are you ready to look at the different attachment styles and try to figure out what you are? Maybe you already know, but now I've spiced it up a little bit. So it's really focusing on how it shows up in the tantric field or in tantra workshop or in this kind of intimate relationships. And so we should remember, like, these attachment strategies is like survival strategies. And when we start finding our strategies, we can start, this is like a really weird strategy, because I'm coming from disorganized attachment, and I think many of us do. And when we start understanding our attachment style, we can also start healing and being aware of what we are sending out. Because I'm coming from a disorganized attachment style, I have this I have this kind of strategy, like I really want to be symbiotic with someone. And I know that is a childhood strategy. That's not for my mature self to go in and be symbiotic with a man. That's not rational. It's not reasonable that a man want to have me as a symbiotic, like really going super, super close. I have to be an adult and stand on myself. So when I feel these symbiotic needs or wants, I just say, oh, wow, hi, attachment wound. It's like, I hold them and then I like come back to myself and an adult and like back off for that kind of behavior of seeking that kind of symbiotic neediness with a man or a woman. And it still shows up. I can tell you. And it's like, it's fun, but it's also, so when I work with this myself, I think it's really fun to say, oh, there is it. And then it's like, wow, it's showing up again and again. And it's like, wow. And more and more, I see them and I don't act on them. They're coming up, but I stay in my adult self. I don't react or acting out. So that is like how when we heal, we have this capacity to stay in our core centered self, not reacting or acting out and coming back to ourself. So this is the work we are doing. And I will also tell you that there are 4 different attachment styles, and it's not that we are like one box each. It's kind of a little bit more fluffy, or it can be like we can have like a little bit of that and a little bit of that. So instead of going straight into this kind of, oh, I'm this, I more want you to look at the upcoming slides of what kind of challenges do I have in my intimate relationship. And it's going to be a mixture between the attachment styles. So now I've talked enough. We're going to start with the ambivalent.
Yes.
Martina,
jag skulle add something else here.
Please.
Yeah, it's like, because I think I also have this is organized from what you shared a little bit. And I feel like I wouldn't have been able to hold myself if I haven't fuel in, like I have taken responsibility of that wound and allow myself to be symbiotic, but with awareness.
Yes.
So it's like what I feel why I want to add it is like, yeah, you can feel it's fun and everything, what you talk about when you are more healed. But before it's not so easy.
Yes, thank you for adding that.
Yeah.
It's not so easy when we're not so healed. Yeah, I can think it's fun quite now, but it wasn't fun before. Yes, thank you for adding that.
Thank you, Martina.
Yes, it's just so good to have you here and share this journey. And yeah, it's not easy. And sometimes we feel really triggered, lonely, sad, emotional, and it's okay. And it will come up if you go to these kind of events and festivals, and if you go into intimate relationship, everything is going to be on the table. When you start loving someone, our friend fear shows up and we start to do all these kind of crazy behaviors, and it's okay. And slowly but slowly, we can start healing and develop this kind of attained secure attachment. So the ambivalent, they have a parent that's been changing between being super attentive and then going away. So what the ambivalent does, it's like they kind of also like, here, we see me. There's also like very intense, a lot of emotions, but they are also prioritizing other needs. They don't know. I've been asking sometimes ambivalent clients, like, what do you want? And say like, no, I want to do that he wants to do, or we like follow, we adapt ourselves so we fit into the group, or we adapt ourselves to be so the partner like us. We can be whatever. So we don't have a kind of a, like if you have an ambivalent, you have like an underdeveloped self. There's like, you kind of really don't know who you are. So that's why I'm using this picture with a crown. We have to start to find ourselves. And we also have to start regulating our emotions. Because when I work with people with ambivalent attachment, they have so much emotionality. If they send a text and it's not answered within 20 minutes, they get super agitated. And it's like, yeah, we have to like calm that down. Maybe the person will answer in a few days or in a few hours. We don't have to be like constantly being fear of being rejected. We have to start to develop the capacities to just be centered and let the other person respond or meet us when they are ready. In love, we can see this, we go into obsessive love, and I've been there, I've done that. It's amazing to have this obsession, passionate love. You really think the person is like super amazing. You kind of lose yourself in that kind of drama. And it's fun to have experienced it. But that kind of obsessive love, underneath it is a big fear. So you are so obsessive with the love that you kind of abandon yourself. So, and the sex here, what I've seen in research, we talk about the ambivalent, they are kind of more, and now I'm over exaggerating a bit, because it's like they want to be super close, like really symbiotic. They're not so interesting. If we like look really at the research, it's like on the sex itself. They're more interested in being cuddled, held, and being close. So what capacities we can start to develop if we fit into this categories is self-love, not just loving the others, but finding our way to love ourselves, like kind of the exercises I did before, but also finding my longings, my boundaries. Who am I really? And last but not least, I mean, is emotional regulation, how to hold back emotions and learn to self-regulate. And I know you are a professional in this, like with the emotional regulation, Lamita, but so we've seen on the attachment and the ambivalent, they use externalized regulation. They always go to someone else to regulate. They have difficulty to regulate their own emotions. So the work is to start to be able to regulate and hold yourself a little bit more. And if we go into Tantra, what we can do if we have an ambivalent attachment style is to do a pleasure map. Just like, wow, what am I curious to explore? And you will send, if you want these slides after, if you have registered on Tixer, I will send these slides out. If you haven't, you can put your email in the chat and I will send these slides out to you. So you can sit with yourself and just say like, I'm curious to explore this, and I'm curious to explore that. And just sit with yourself and see, what are you curious to explore? What are your kink? What is like what you want? And just to figure out, I'm not doing like bondage because my partner wants to do it. I'm doing bondage because I want to do that. Or I'm not doing that because I'm not interested in that at all. So it's just really to find your own pleasure map. And that you can do at home. I'm just going to mention it here. So the avoidant. They're kind of the opposite to the ambivalent. They are on their own. They have learned not to need anyone else because there was no one there for them. So they are very self-reliant and they want their freedom. They don't really want to be in intimate relationships. And instead of being emotional, they have shut down. So they can be kind of very blank or very low emotions in them because their emotions have not been met. And I don't get the English word. They haven't been met in their emotions or mirrored in their emotions. So they haven't had the capacity to feel emotion and put words on it. And this is one thing we do a lot in therapy with avoidant clients. It's like to start to feel, how does this emotion feel? How does anger feel? It feels like the surge of energy rising, that your fist starts cleansing you. Maybe even your teeth starts biting a little bit. That is anger. And that feels like, yeah. So we have to like learn them or teach them how different emotions feel, because we all feel emotions, but we have to exercise that muscle of feeling emotions. They have also big difficulty to trust others, and they stay away. And of course, they get into relationship with ambivalent that want to be super close all the time. So it's like a kind of dance, like these are going away and they're coming and going, and we go in this endless circle of dancing. And in love, now we're going to, this is like really exaggerating. There's more game playing and one night stands. And that's what they say in research. So the capacities you need to develop when you have an avoidant attachment, of course, it's vulnerability. And just see, do you really want to be a lone wolf, or will you take the risk to attach to someone? Will you take the risk to express your emotions? And being close and seeing how that feels. And for an avoidant to be close and also being respected if we need a little bit of freedom. So we can like see if we are dating someone avoidant, we need to give them a little bit freedom so they can choose to come back to us. If we start chasing them, they're definitely going to run away. So it's all the way so information to us who date avoidant people that we need to give them a little bit more space so we can come together as a couple. And if you want to try meeting someone, I have a conscious speed dating event on May the 8th in Stockholm. And there you can really practice this being present and being with someone else. We're going to do a lot of eye gazing and inquiry. And it's amazing. This is one of my favorite events. And there has been both a wedding and a baby and loads of dates. So this is a way of meeting in a more tantric way, not just on Tinder and stuff and you go out drinking. So this is more like you're fully present and fully sober. So when you have this avoidant attachment style, the key is to start opening the heart and be fully present. Feeling that kind of fear of showing yourself. Feeling the fear of taking a risk to connect. Because often when you have avoidant clients in the therapy room, there is like kind of this wobbling, like they really want to come close, but they also like really want to shut off. And this is true for all that, like unsecure attachment styles. It's like this kind of push-pull. They want to be close and want to connect, but especially the avoidant is like they're really holding back, don't really want to connect. But there is a small impulse of want to connect and wanting to heal the trauma. And if you want to do this exercise before you go on a date, it's on my YouTube channel. It's called Data från hjärtat. And then we do the full exercise here. And yes, this is my favorite. And I say so because this is something that is kind of, and I think you agree with me here, Lamita, that the disorganized is kind of not so well known or well understood in the Swedish mental health system. I have so many clients been going to the hospitals and stuff, but they haven't got help. They have challenges with dissociation and freeze and a lot of these things, but it's not really being met because the knowledge is not there in our mental health system. So they end up with me or maybe Lamita to find people who has this knowledge of how to feel and work with the disorganized attachment. So the disorganized attachment is a group that is like a bit more different between them than the other attachment styles, because the disorganized is kind of the leftover group, the ones that didn't fit into secure, ambivalent, or avoidance. So they can be like a bigger variety. But if we say like the core essence of getting a disorganized attachment, that is when you are, one of the core things is when you are afraid of your parent. The one who's there, they're supposed to protect you, are also the one that's scaring you. So if you see a little child, like you see the father or mother like being like really angry or like maybe even hitting them, the child gets so confused because they still wants to run to the parent for protection, but at the same time running away from that danger. So it's like it's an impossible solution here for the kid. So it's really the only thing the psyche can do here is to split, and it can do a lot of things. It can also dissociate or go into freeze or blank or collapse of things. But it's like one thing they can do is to split. So it's one part of the child is still connecting, being like seeing the father as the good one, and the other part seeing the father as the dangerous one. So what we see here in people with disorganized attachment is not true for me though, but it's like this kind of constant look out for danger. It's like, oh, it's a dangerous, it's dangerous. And it's like this kind of this hypervigilance all the time. So also what shows up, and these kind of mixed signals also show up while you date them. And I've seen this on myself because I want to go super close and then I need to go away. So what they do is like send out mixed signals. One part of them want to be super close and the other one wants to go away. You can also see them showing up with a lot of dissociation and freeze. And I can talk a whole seminar about dissociation and freeze, but that is like dissociation can be many things, but one thing, what happens is like you go into, feels like you kind of leaving the body. And this is like a really, really good defense or strategy when you are a child, because you can't stay in the environment, you kind of leave. And people tell me when I sit with clients that they get airy or they get very like, they see themselves from the outside. They can also go into freeze when the body goes into like a real stiffness. And so they can't like act. And this is like what also happens when, if you go into freeze, you can't really set boundaries. So if you are on a festival and see someone going into like either being really airy or floaty, or like just feeling cramped, just be with them. Don't ask them to do things. Just see them. This is really difficult maybe for you to see, but we can see it. And we can also ask, are you okay? Or are you aware? Can you set the boundaries? Or do you want to? And if we see this, there's always a no and a stop in it. So what we also see in the disorganized client is like this kind of shifting roles, as you see as this gentleman here. He has a really proper self, but it also have like really kind of a rebel self. And this I love in my clients, because it's like, it's going on a treasure hunt. I find these kind of different parts of the self, like small children, really rebels, and really like apparently normal persons, like people behaving like really normal. And then they're like really trauma parts, like emotional parts. For many of us, the body has also been the source of danger. Maybe we have been beaten, abused, or something like that. The body hasn't been safe, or it hasn't been ours. So what we do in working with this is like getting back, like the body being my temple. I decide who's coming into my temple. So that is like really a deep emotional work when you go to festivals, like, this is mine. I decide. It's not like my body is like a shopping mall or something. Everyone can just go in and out. It's like, this is mine, and I decide who's coming in. So just try to take a deep breath. Now I'm talking very much, but it's like to just feel this, like this is I decide. I just feel this. I decide over my body. And maybe this is really new for you, but I just love it. So the disorganized, you can say, is a mix of ambivalent and avoidant strategies. So capacities to develop, if you have coming from a disorganized attachment, it's like embodiment and presence, trusting self and others, and also doing this amazing journey of healing the fragmented self. And this is very good to do in therapy or something, because it's kind of difficult to do it alone. But you can also start doing it alone by like putting up the image of like your different selves. Maybe this is too difficult, but I love this so much. And I know we're coming to the end. I'm already over. I have a few more slides, and then we're going to open up for questions. So if you can hold your questions until the last.
So, Martina.
Yes.
May I stick in a little bit here?
Yes, I know. I know you wanted to stick in here. Yeah, we talk a little bit more about it. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say something about dissociation.
Yes.
That it took me a long time to discover when I was in the dissociation. And it was like I was numb also.
Yes.
So I want to mention that. And it can be very uncomfortable to come in contact with the body, which feels almost dead.
Yes.
So I just want to say that is.
Yeah, this is like your special knowledge as well, and you're doing an amazing work here.
Yeah. So it's like, so it really has to go slow.
Yeah, we have to go slow. And that is like really also the challenge when you go to these kind of festivals. I have to go as slow as my body and psyche can handle. If I rush too quickly into things, I have the risk of being re-traumatized. So we have to go as slow or even slower. So you have to slow down. And yeah, so we have to be really careful with ourselves, especially if we are suffering from sexual abuse of things that I've been working with a lot with my clients. So it's just want to hold that and say. So that is also of the things I've been working with a lot. In instance, sexual abuse and rape and all things like that. And it's like a really beautiful possibility to heal, but you have to do the work, and maybe also have to have a professional doing it with you.
I had a little at a different angle of go as slow as the deepest part feels safe.
Yes. Yeah, the youngest part feels safe. And we can also say that go as slow, because sometimes the adult self, like one part is like really juicy and tantric and want to like have fun. like a child part that doesn't want to go. So you have to really check in with like all your parts, but that is kind of, we can do like a really good webinar on that one as well. I actually did a webinar on this like on Tuesday about healing disorganized attachment when I talked much more about this. And if you want, I also have an article about healing disorganized attachment. So we're getting to the end. So how we can heal in Tantra is to find the boundaries, to find your lust and sexuality, to find your body as your temple. Start to do this exploration and play, finding your authentic core self, and the healing of receiving what you didn't get. Yeah, I'm going to stop there. So this is the summary of everything we've done here. And it's just such a beautiful possibility to heal, both in therapy and also in Tantra and in intimate relationships. So I also have retreats on Öland where we work a little bit more and more with Tantra. It's called Unlock Your Kundalini, and it's in August. And we're going to work with life force energy and Tantra together and like really expand and like use a lot of movements and touch and energy work. And this is like really fun. And we're going to make a fire on the beach and stuff and swim, but it's not so cold, but I love swimming. So if you want to come and join me on Öland, you're so welcome. And I thank you, Stockholm Tantra Festival, for giving me this opportunity to do this together with you. And if you want to come and see us on the Tantra Festival, I'm going to be there. Are you coming, Lamita?
No, unfortunately not.
You're not coming?
No.
But if you want to go, you have this code to get 20% off festival tickets. So I would love to have you there as a colleague and a friend, and was like be just so amazing. And also, if you want to see me more personally, you can book a free 15-minute consultation for therapy. And even if you have done that before, you are able to do that again if you want to restart therapy or something. And I also have this kind of free upcoming event, 2 retreats, and the conscious speed dating. But my core practice is therapy, and especially healing attachment wounds. So thank you so much for watching this webinar. I'm going to now stop the sharing, and thank you, Lamita, for helping me. And I'm going to stop the recording, and we're going to open up for questions.
I don't know if I